We have been open and transparent with Canadians on the facts, and I've said from the very beginning that there are a wide range of scenarios that we have been looking for, that we're planning for, that we are trying to work towards as a government, as a country. We know that we are going to be in place for a number of more weeks, perhaps more months, but everything depends on how Canadians behave.
The federal government has yet to reveal the exact data of those scenarios the Prime Minister refers to, but he often says that it will be weeks, if not months, that these kinds of physical distancing measures stay in place. It could be dreary news for Canada's easternmost province among all the provinces. 12 days ago, Newfoundland and Labrador Premier Dwight Ball wrote a letter to Justin Trudeau saying the province is out of time and almost out of money. That province, of course, was already hit hard by a historic snowstorm this year before the pandemic reached Canada, tanking oil prices and causing layoffs. Since penning that letter, the Bank of Canada has announced a program to buy short-term bonds from provinces. So is Newfoundland and Labrador still about to go broke? What kind of support is it looking for from the feds? Dwight Ball is the Premier of that province. He joins us now from St. John's. Hi, Premier Ball. Thanks for making time for us.
Hi, Vashi. How are you? It's great to be back.
I appreciate your time this evening. So, Premier, you wrote this letter on March 20th. You made it public today. For our viewers who aren't familiar with the situation your province faces, can you outline for us exactly what you're telling the Prime Minister?
Well, it's been a difficult 2020 for Newfoundland and Labrador. And when you think about it, we are one of the few provinces in this confederation. And ironically, 71 years ago, we joined Confederation as of yesterday, which was an interesting backdrop to all of this. So we are one of the provinces, Vashi, that do not receive equalization. And so what we're looking for here, and we have been looking for quite some time, is a program that reflects the current financial needs of provinces like Newfoundland and Labrador. This could be any province without equalization. I would argue that many provinces today would be in a very similar position that Newfoundland and Labrador is in if they did not receive equalization. So really right now, we were looking for something that was unique for our province, given where we are in this health crisis, but coming out of this, the financial crisis that we will all face, and Newfoundland and Labrador is not equipped right now to come out of the health crisis without going into a financial crisis.
Yeah, I just want to ask you a bit more about the situation your province faces before we get into what the ask of the federal government is in a bit more detail. In the letter, you said, to put it bluntly, our recent attempts to finalize our borrowing program, both short-term and long-term, have been unsuccessful. We have no other recourse to raise the necessary funds to maintain the operations of government, including our healthcare system, especially at this critical time. In plain language, Premier, does that mean that your province is almost out of money?
Well, this week we've been able to, with the support of the Bank of Canada, these measures were important for us. So we've been able to get access and borrow some more money. But it's really about continuing to borrow money, and sooner or later, Vashi, as you know, you will run out of the borrowing capacity. So yes, indeed, this week, with the support of the Bank of Canada, we can continue to pay our public sector workers, continue to pay our healthcare costs. But what we really need now is a program that can be outlined to support provinces like Newfoundland and Labrador, very specifically to help us where we are in our current situation.
In the absence of that program, based on what you were able to borrow now because of the changes with the Bank of Canada, how long do you have before you need some more backstop?
Well, we'll continue to look for borrowing options that we have available to us, of course, backstopped by the Bank of Canada. But this is unsustainable. I guess when you look at it, complicated matters become simple when you have no choice. Our only choice right now is to continue to borrow, but that is not a long-term program, and that's not long-term sustainability for a province like Newfoundland and Labrador. We already have the highest amount of debt of any on a per capita basis as any province within the country. All my colleagues as premiers, they're aware of this. The Prime Minister is aware of this. He's been very accessible for conversations on this very issue, as indeed the Deputy Prime Minister has. So the working relationship is good, but we need to support, so we continue to put in programs that are fair to Canadians that live in Newfoundland and Labrador. So when I hear my colleagues announce programs to help them through this current crisis, we do not have the financial capacity to be able to do that for the very Canadians that live in Newfoundland and Labrador. So it's really about fairness. we just expect right now, and we want the federal government to carve out a unique program for our province, because we are unique today given the financial situation of our province.
You said the working relationship with the Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister is a solid one, Premier. What has the response been like to this ask?
Well, as you know, we've been anticipating for many months now, with the support of my federal colleagues, other premiers, we were anticipating a program that would have been specific to Alberta, Saskatchewan, Newfoundland and Labrador, those provinces that do not receive equalization. That would have been around fiscal sustainability plans. So we were expecting this, and maybe as early as April, but that didn't come. So right now, I know we'll continue to work with the federal government. So they are supportive of where we are. But right now, we're out of time, and we need some support from the federal government so we can actually put in programs for Canadians that live in Newfoundland and Labrador. So essentially, I guess all I can say is really about fairness and about balance. So we're just looking for fairness for Newfoundland and Labrador.
You said you were expecting that in April. We heard the finance minister, I believe it was exactly a week ago, tell the Senate committee that help, vis-a-vis provinces, let's say, most affected by the oil crisis, which includes yours, would be coming in the coming hours or days. It hasn't materialized yet. Have they conveyed to you any kind of timeline at all for this help?
No, discussions are still ongoing, but the matter of fact is that right now we are in a financial situation unlike any other province in this confederation. So really right now, my letter that I wrote on March the 20th, we can keep paying our bills. We can keep paying our workers right now. We can continue to pay healthcare costs. But it is unsustainable when we work our way through the many months that we'll probably find this country into. Newfoundland and Labrador is just in a different situation right now. Other provinces would be in the very same situation if they did not have access to equalization.
Is there any specific form that you want the help to come in? And I ask because I'm thinking back to when the premiers all met and there was a consensus around, for example, the fiscal stabilization program and removing the cap and perhaps even retroactive payments through that program. Is that perhaps an avenue for what you're looking for?
Well, one of the things that I've been saying is that really to even entertain or get involved in a stimulus package that required the provinces to come up with a cost-shared arrangement, we would not be able to participate at the level that I think we want to do here in Newfoundland and Labrador. We want to get people working as soon as we come out of this healthcare crisis that we're currently dealing with. So it's important now we start putting in measures in place so that Newfoundland and Labrador, no different than any other province, would be in a very similar situation coming out of this healthcare crisis, so that we can quickly respond to and put people back to work. Newfoundlanders and Labradorians, that's what they're looking for. They're just looking for some fairness and some balance so that we can respond as quickly to the economic crisis, no different than any other province, as we work our way through the healthcare crisis.
Okay, I'll leave it there, Premier. Really appreciate your time this evening.
Thank you, Vashi.
That's Newfoundland and Labrador Premier Dwight Ball.